If you're about to hire a creative strategist, watch this first, because the person you're looking to hire doesn't exist. Right now, there are 42,554 Shopify Plus merchants fighting over maybe 5,000 senior creative strategists who actually know what they're doing. Now, that's 8.5 brands per strategist. And the top brands, they're not just hiring one, they're hiring 2, 3, sometimes even 4 creative strategists. Which means by the time a job post hits your desk, the go ones are already locked up. So the people actually applying are either fresh out of some boot camp with zero real experience, or they're the ones who just got fired from their last 3 gigs. And you're sitting there scrolling through LinkedIn, thinking maybe this one will be different. Well, they probably won't. Look, even if you do land someone decent, you're still paying 80 to 120k a year plus performance bonus. And if they're actually good, then someone's probably gonna approach them in 6 months with a way better offer. And that's the game right now. So what I'm about to show you is how I completely bypassed that entire mess. Instead of trying to hire more people, I built a system that lets one creative strategist produce 500 plus strategic on-brand high-quality ads every single month. And by the end of this video, you'll see exactly how it works and how you can plug it into your brand so you can finally scale to multi-8 figures in revenue. Now, let's get into it. So you're probably wondering, why would you tell me to not hire a strategist? And that's a fair question. Look, I've been a strategist myself for years. I've worked with brands that just launched a few weeks ago, all the way up to 8-figure brands doing 60 million a year in annual revenue. So I know what actually happens when you hire someone for this role. And that's exactly the problem. You're not just hiring one person, but you're essentially hiring a strategist, a product manager, and a QA team all rolled into one. They're supposed to figure out which angles to test, map out your messaging, analyze what's working. Then they're supposed to coordinate editors, designers, manage timelines, and track revisions. And they're supposed to review every single asset before it goes live. Now that's 3 full-time jobs. And when one person is doing all 3, well, they spend 80% of their time on operational work, like formatting concepts, uploading briefs to Google Sheets or ClickUp, giving feedback rounds, coordinating revisions, managing Slack threads, and maybe 20% of their time on actual strategy. Which means you're paying 100k a year for someone who can only produce 40 to 50 ads a month. And when you're spending over 100k a month on Meta ads, well, that's not enough and not even close. Because as you know, Meta rolled out Andromeda a few months ago that completely shifted how the algorithm works. And it killed the one winning ad strategy forever. Now you know where you find one killer ad, you write it for 3 to 6 months, and you just print money. Well, that's dead. And let me show you what I mean by that. This brand here, this is true classic. Right now, they have 1,900 live ads running. This is Motion, 2,500 live ads. And here's Rise, 6,900 live ads. These are multi-8 and 9-figure brands. They're running true creative diversity with different angles, visuals, formats, etc. Now, compare that to most D2C brands that are stuck at 40 ads per month. Well, that's not a 2x gap, that's 47x gap at the minimum and 172 at the top end. And to get to that level of output with traditional processes, well, you'd need at least 1 to 2 creative directors to oversee everything, 3 creative strategists that are actually ideating and executing concepts, and maybe even a couple of copywriters just to keep up with the volume. Plus video editors, designers, project managers to coordinate it all. Now, you're looking at easily $500,000 in annual payroll. Not even talking about onboarding time, not even talking about coordination overhead, and not even talking about managing all those people and keeping quality consistent. And even if you could afford that, well, good luck finding those people in the first place. But I want to go back to something I touched on earlier. Because when you actually break down what's eating up your strategist's time, you'll see exactly why hiring more people isn't the answer. And more importantly, you'll see what actually is. So let me walk you through what a creative strategist's day actually looks like. First, they're going through competitor ad libraries, looking for what's working. Then they're digging through Trustpilot, Reddit, and review sites for customer language. Then they're in the ads manager, analyzing all the data. Next, they come up with an idea and then create a briefing in a Google Doc. Then they have to format the briefing so it's clear for the editors. Once they've uploaded it to a Google Sheet or ClickUp, then they have to ping the editors on Slack. Then they brief the editors on what they're looking for and answer all the questions from the editors back and forth in Slack. Then round 2 of revisions, round 3, and sometimes even round 4, round 5. So the actual strategy time that you hire them for in the first place, well, it's maybe 20% of their day-to-day if we're being realistic. So let me ask you this. If you add 2 or 3 more strategists doing the exact same process, do you really think you'd reach the same output level as True Classic, Motion, or Rise? Now, if we're being honest, probably not, right? So instead of trying to add more people to the equation, what if we just could increase the actual strategy time from one strategist? Now let's look at the math. Take one full-time strategist working 40 hours a week with 20% focus on actual strategy like we just went through. Now that's 8 hours. And compare that to one full-time strategist with close to 100% focus on actual strategy. Well, that's 40 hours, a 5x difference. Which means you'd need to hire 5 strategists just to match the output of one strategist working at full capacity. But if we could boost that 20% up close to 100, well, we don't need to hire more people, we don't need to expand the team, and we don't need a creative director managing everyone. We just need better processes that automate all the operational work. So the strategists can spend their time on what they're actually good at. And that's exactly what I want to show you now. Because once you see this, you'll realize why one strategist can suddenly produce 500 plus ads a month. Now, as we just talked about, the first part of the process is going through competitor ad libraries looking for what's working. Now, I built an end-to-end workflow that monitors competitor ad libraries in real time. It pulls the ads from the brands that you're tracking, sorts them by engagement, spend signals, how long they've been running, and drops everything into this creative master sheet automatically. So the strategist opens one sheet and sees what's already working in the market. Next is digging through Trustpilot and testimonials for customer language. For this, we get a different end-to-end workflow that extracts the exact language patterns, pain points, and desires your customers are using, and organizes everything by theme and drops it into your master sheet. So instead of reading through hundreds of reviews manually, the strategist gets a clean report of what your customers are actually saying. Number 3 on the list is being in the Ads Manager, analyzing ads. Well, guess what we have here? Another end-to-end workflow that connects your meta ads data directly into your tracking system and automatically organizes performance by angle, format, hook type, visual style, so the strategist isn't staring at a wall of random data anymore, but they're looking at clean reports showing exactly what's working and why. Next is actually coming up with the idea. Now, this part doesn't get replaced. This is where the strategist should spend their time. But now they're not guessing, because we use what I call the Strategic Coverage Framework. It maps out over 3,375 ad ideas across different audiences, big ideas, angles, formats, hooks, and visuals systematically. So the strategist knows exactly what to test next and can just pull from competitor ads, customer reviews, and your own performance data, all on the creative master sheet that I just showed you. Now, after the ideation comes the scripting part. Here we get a custom AI trained on your brand voice, winning angles, and customer language, so when the strategist needs to write a script, all they do is feed the concept into the AI and it outputs a 90% done draft that already sounds like your brand, uses your customer's language, and follows winning patterns. All the strategist has to do is polish the last 10% to make sure it's aligned to the vision, and then he just feeds it into this Notion board here, changes the status to formatted, which triggers this end-to-end automation that handles all the formatting and delivery at the same time. And it takes that finished scripts, formats it for your editors with all the production specs, and once it's ready, it just publishes it here on this creative tracker with an automatic notification to your team. So no more manually uploading concepts or pinging editors and designers in Slack. And when it comes to briefing the editors, well, the whole process just got 10 times smoother, because the brief that lands in their tracker is already complete. Every spec is laid out, every reference is attached, and every visual direction is clear. So instead of your strategist spending 50 minutes on Slack explaining what they want, the editor just opens the brief and gets it immediately. First drafts come back way closer to final, and revisions drop from 3 to 4 rounds down to maybe 1. And your strategist isn't playing the project manager anymore. So we just took that 20% strategy time and pushed it close to 100. We automated everything that was eating up their day, from competitor research, customer language extraction, to performance tracking, delivery, and briefing, all of it. That's how one strategist produces 500 plus ads every single month. And that's how you're finally testing the volume that Meta actually rewards. So you're feeding Andromeda the creative diversity that it's optimized for. And you're finding 3 to 5 new winners every month instead of just hoping one ad carries you. And you're doing all of this without adding $500,000 in payroll. Now, if you want me to install this into your brand, the workflows, the AI infrastructure, the strategic coverage framework, all of it, plus get access to one of my trained creative strategists who run the whole thing for you. And like I mentioned, I've worked as a strategist myself for years. So I've got a great network of strategists who've worked with 7, 8, and 9-figure brands. They know how to execute at this level. So if you're spending at least 100K a month on meta ads, and you're serious about scaling to multiple 8 figures, just shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll show you how we can implement this for your brand. Now, that's it. See you on the next one.